Welcome to the U.S. Kiss Vinyl Reference YouTube channel. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Alright, folks. So, yeah, you might be a little confused. You know, you seen me in the Creatures episode. I had a full beard. And you seen me in that little bitty update for Unmasked, and I have this little thing. Then you see me in the reissue episode. I have a full beard, and now I've got this little thing again. No, I cannot grow a beard that fast. So, I'm recording this the same day that I did the update for Unmasked, and I had already had the reissues episode recorded, so yeah, my beard didn't come and go again. So, all right, so the last episode I touched on the Filmworks 2 series from 1983 to 1984, and I figured, you know, I did one polygram set, I might as well do the other. So this one, we're going to talk about the Filmworks 3 series, which, if you've been keeping tabs, the difference is that the Filmworks 3 series actually has the UPC printed on the jacket, and the Filmworks 2 series does not. So, yeah, I don't have any 45s today. I took care of all the outlier 45s on the last episode, so today's just going to be strictly this Filmworks 3 set of LPs. And get yourself comfy, and I'll be back in a minute. Alright, so the Filmworks 3 series, that's what we're going to talk about today. This was released pretty much from 1985 to 1990. Some titles were here, or some titles were there in the beginning. Other titles took a minute. And I've got something that kind of gives a little bit of a timeline on a couple of titles, not necessarily when they were released, but you know, when they didn't exist, if that makes sense. So, the main hallmarks of the Filmworks 3 series. I'm just going to use the debut LP here as an example because they all should be pretty much the same. You have a printed UPC on the jacket. That's not a sticker. So the old Filmworks 2, you could have a sticker on the back of the jacket with a UPC. Some of these Filmworks 3s have a printing plant number somewhere on the jacket in addition to this printed UPC. Some don't. That's the printing plant number isn't a make or break point here. Most commonly, they will come with just a clear plastic inner sleeve. These things were made on the cheap, so they didn't pump a whole bunch of money by printing custom inner sleeves and inserts and what have you. So, you know, this was just let's throw this shit out here so people can buy it and we can get a little money for buying out Casablanca. So, and then that and a polygram Filmworks label. So that's your 3 ingredients for the Filmworks 3. Now, you know, the Filmworks 2 was 1983 to 1984. These Filmworks 3 issues they picked up in 1985 and ran to 1990. So you're going to have a little bit of overlap. So, you know, if you have a Filmworks 2 copy of Alive with a clear plastic inner sleeve and, you know, the run out might give a True Tone date or something like that, that's not necessarily incorrect. Because, I mean, they just kept printing these things, and, you know, any of y'all that have worked in manufacturing of some sort, you know that, you know, when it comes to getting different components to use for the final product, you just use whatever you got until it's gone. And that was the case here. So, I mean, it's very possible for you to have a Filmworks 3 copy of the debut with a Filmworks inner sleeve, or, you know, any kind of combination you can think of, really. So let's not get too hung up on, you know, hey, mine has a, you know, a Filmworks inner sleeve and it's got a printed UPC on the back. You know, mine ain't the same as the one that Mike showed on his Filmworks 2 episode, you know, or Filmworks 3. Don't get too hung up on those kind of details. I mean, the bare necessities of what you need is that printed UPC right there and a Filmworks label, Polygram Filmworks label. So now in the case of the debut, I've showed it already. The front of the jacket looks pretty much the same. It still has the Casablanca logo down here. I've noticed that several foreign issues do not have that Casablanca logo. As far as I can remember, I mean, I don't have the 2014 on me handy, but as far as I remember, that stayed on there even with the 2014. And the back of the jacket. So you now have polygram information down here instead of the old Casablanca Sunset Boulevard. You have a polygram logo down here now and a different kind of Casablanca logo. So that's changed along with the obvious printed UPC. My copy came to me with that clear plastic inner sleeve that I hate, but I won't get rid of for some reason because I'm just picky that way, I guess. It's always a pain in the ass to put back in without a record, and I'm OCD enough that all of my other records I've put into these disc keeper inner sleeves, and just to kind of keep it all uniform, I do it with the polygram reissues too. So yeah, I just have an empty clear plastic inner sleeve inside the jacket. Get that thing in there. Almost had it. Sometimes a little bit of teamwork here. There we go. Alright. So now, the label is a polygram Filmworks label. And if you look over to the left-hand side, you'll see a number 53. So there's your pressing plant. So this looks, for most purposes, exactly the same as the one that I showed you on the Filmworks 2. And the label itself is the same. But the difference on this compared to the Filmworks 2 copy of the debut is it has a it has information relating to True Tone, which would be the company that mastered this. It says True Tone PA, which I'm assuming is Pennsylvania. I could be wrong about that. And then it gives a date of January of 1985. So that right there kind of correlates with the whole 85 to 90 thing. By 1990, vinyl was pretty much dead in the U.S. I know European countries kept pressing vinyl that whole after that, because I know that because I was a huge Maiden vinyl collector, Iron Maiden, and I bought I had all the UK stuff that Maiden released. So yeah, they kept pressing record. Well, they still do to this day, actually, as far as Maiden goes. That's never really stopped. But in the US, 1990, 91, that's about when vinyl kind of died off. Now, you would have some specialty pressings after that, but I mean, vinyl wasn't really a normal medium by that point. So yeah, we just kind of consider 85 to 90. And the date that this gives, that was when it was mastered, more than likely. So how long it took from mastering to the store shelf, who knows. So there is the debut. And these jackets, a lot of them kind of look like they have that paste over or dip on, however you want to say it. And along the spines, they should now have a polygram catalog number. So it'd be like 422, 824, whatever, instead of the old Casablanca catalog numbers. That was NBLP something. The labels might not necessarily have the updated catalog number, but the spine should. Alright. So next up is Hotter Than Hell. And some more differences. You obviously got the printed UPC back here. We now have a polygram logo. And there's a small 0518, so that is a printing plant number. And I mean, I don't know how well that translates to the camera, but it's kind of got that paste over cover too. Just a flat gray, everything on here. You know, the original issues of Hotter Than Hell, all of this was kind of a shiny silver. That's all just a flat gray. And mine came to me with that plastic inner sleeve also, which I managed to leave inside. And then the label. So you've got that polygram address, and then off to the left you see a number 53, and then off to the right you'll notice on this one you'll see a polygram catalog number at 422-824-147. So I mean, there are copies that come in that jacket that have the old Casablanca catalog number, so don't get too hung up thinking that you've got a Frankenstein or whatever. It's not. This whole period between 83 and 85 was kind of a transition. So it's commonly found with the label that matches the Filmworks 2, and then the label that I just showed you. So don't get too disappointed if you find one with the other label from what I just showed. I myself don't have a copy with that other label because I have the other label with my Filmworks 2, and then I've got this one with the Filmworks 3, so I've got one of each jacket, one of each label. I didn't really see the need to get another one, if that makes sense. Alright. Next up is Dress to Kill, and I've got a couple of different variations of this one. So again, we've got the printed UPC on the back, and we've got a polygram logo right here, and you won't really see it, but there's a 0518 above that polygram logo. The main thing to kind of keep in mind on this one is you can actually see the logos around the picture. They're not embossed, but you can actually see them. That'll come in handy here in a minute. And then the label. So you can see it's got that polygram address at the bottom, and off to the right there's a number 53. You'll also notice on this one that there is the old Casablanca catalog number on the left side, the NBLP 7016. So that's what I was talking about before with Hotter Than Hell. This one does not give a true tone date. While I'm thinking about it, Hotter Than Hell gives a true tone date of December of 1986. Excuse me. Actually, I'll hold this one out for a second so I can show you the variation on the next one. So I have another copy of Dress to Kill, and it's laid out on the back the same. You know, there's the polygram logo, 0518, printed UPC. The big difference, I told you before, you can see the logos around the picture on this one. This one you can't. It's black all the way around. So that's kind of the variation that I was talking about. It's also got that clear plastic inner sleeve. I have a label variation also. So now if you look at this one, look off to the left, you'll see a number 53 where it says manufactured. And then if you look underneath where it says stereo and side 1 on the left, you'll see a number 76. And then if you go to the right hand side, you'll see the polygram catalog number. So there's a that's what I mean by, you know, they could come with either catalog number on the label, and not all titles will have a polygram catalog number on the label. Like the debut, I've never seen one with the polygram catalog number. Alive, Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over, and one or two of the solo albums, I think. So I mean, There's not one available, not necessarily one available for every title, is what I'm saying. There was Dressed to Kill. Now we got Alive. And again, I have variations for Alive. Excuse me. So the first thing I'm going to bring your attention to is the fact that it just says Alive up in this corner. Flip around to the back. There's a badly pasted Casablanca logo down here. You can see the black square around it. We have a polygram logo up here. There's a small 0518 right here. And then we got a printed UPC. Now the printed UPC we have variations of. So I am going to zoom in on this one. I don't know how well that's going to take, but it gives you the polygram catalog number of 422-822-780, and underneath it in parentheses you'll see NBLP 7020 UY2. Yeah. So that's something to keep in mind. And then we've got the clear plastic inner sleeves. I'm having a lot of trouble talking today for some reason. The label. So it looks like any other polygram label for Alive. So off to the left you have a number 53, so there's your pressing plant number, and then it still has the old NBLP 7020 Casablanca catalog number. I've never seen a Filmworks 3 with the new polygram number. So I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't exist that way, but I will say that I've never seen one that way. And if you haven't figured it out yet, I've got my ear to the ground pretty good on this kind of stuff. So, and then the gatefold, we have the Casablanca logo here, and then we're going to point out that they no longer have the catalog numbers printed by the respective album covers. So, and this one gives a True Tone date of May of 1985. All right. And then I've got another variation of Alive. Not necessarily a label variation, but it's all in the jacket now. So we're still saying just Alive up top here. We still have that badly pasted Casablanca logo here. We have a polygram logo, a small 0518, and then on the UPC, now it says 422-822-780. There's no parentheses below, and it just says NBLP 7020. So that's slightly different from the last one that I showed you. And then the gatefold again, you know, just a regular Casablanca logo. There's no catalog numbers printed underneath the album covers. And then we have that same Polygram Filmworks label. And these jackets almost seem like they're printed on like recycled cardboard or something like that. They're not super well made. And then another variation of Alive. So now this one says 2 record set up above. On the back, we have a Casablanca Record and Filmworks logo now. And then in this corner right here, there's a small 0501. We still have a Polygram logo here, but there's no printing plant up here. It's down here. The UPC just has the Polygram catalog number now. The gatefold on the inside has the Casablanca Record and Filmworks logo. There's no printed catalog for the album covers. This one seems to be made on a better jacket material than cardboard. The other ones were brown inside like a recycled cardboard. This one's white like any other jacket you see. Same Polygram Filmworks label. So mainly the differences on the 3 different variations of Alive that I have, they're all in the jacket. And that inner sleeve's gonna be a pain for me, so I'll have to get a little finesseful with it. And it seemed like this this copy of Alive here with the 0501 down at the bottom, seems like this was the toughest one to find. So and then I have a record club from this time period for Alive. This is the only record club I know of from this time period for the makeup catalog. So there's just says Alive up top, and then on the back where a barcode would be, it says manufactured for BMG Direct Marketing Incorporated under license, and then the street address. Polygram logo 0518. Badly pasted Casablanca logo is back. It gives a license number. And the big thing about this one is it's not gatefold. It's a single jacket. And then the label is slightly different because BMG and RCA, they were really good about badging everything. So their labels usually say what they are. So you can see the layout's a little different from what I've showed you. And then off to the left, there's still that number 53, which I think is just how they probably printed up a bunch of labels with that number on it, and then different places borrowed labels. But on the left hand side, You could see the license number, that R260223. I'm sorry. And then it's got the polygram catalog number underneath that, and then off to the right underneath side 1 it says distributed under license from Polygram Records Incorporated by BMG Marketing. So it's a well labeled record club. And yeah, the no gatefold part is, it's kind of the special thing about it. And a lot of people, when they first get into collecting, they find out about this one and they want to find it. And it's pretty common to find. It's not rare by any means. So that does Alive. And then we come up to Destroyer. So with Destroyer, back to that paste over kind of jacket. So we got the printed UPC up here. And then there's all the polygram text down here. No printing plant number that I can see. And then the Destroyer label looks just like any other polygram label. So you've got the 53 off to the left. It has the Casablanca catalog number, NBLP 7025. I've not seen a polygram copy of Destroyer with the polygram catalog number. Some of these can have the outro track for Do You Love Me. It's looking like this one does. And let's see here. True Tone, Pennsylvania, March of 1985. Alright. And then I have a variation on Destroyer. So if you look at the spine on this one, it'll be hard to make out, but it says Casablanca right there. You can kind of see it. So my other copy of Destroyer you can see the Casablanca is missing on the spine. So, and then yeah, there's some color differences. You know, one's got a lot more blue in it than the other, and I usually don't get too far into printing differences. Other than that, the jacket has the same marks on the back. As soon as I get this one put up. So it still has the printed UPC on the back, and then all the polygram information down there. It has that same Polygram Filmworks label. And this one gives a True Tone, Pennsylvania, March of 1985. And it looks like it does have the outro track also. I think my Filmworks 2 doesn't have the outro track. Next up, we have Rock and Roll Over. And here we have the printed UPC. And then, yeah, the polygram logos in Gene's corner. But I do not see a printing plant number anywhere. Funny enough, this one has a inner sleeve for Love Gun. And before somebody says it's a Frankenstein, let's compare the UPCs here. So the UPCs match. That means they, for some reason, intended that inner sleeve to go with Rock and Roll Over. And funny enough, also in the Filmworks 2 series, Rock and Roll Over was also the only one that got a custom inner sleeve, but it was actually its correct inner sleeve. I had a glare that whole time, and it was looked like a little piece of hair or something on the side of my lens. So the label, look off to the left, you see number 53, and then it's got the polygram address. This one also has the Casablanca catalog number. So I have not seen a polygram reissue of Rock and Roll Over that has the polygram catalog number. And this one does not give any true tone information in the dead wax. A lot of these covers were just not high quality printing. Almost look overexposed. Like some of this stuff you can't even read. I mean, you can see that there's words there, but they're so thin. Alright, Love Gun, I've got a couple of different variations of. So on the back here, you have a printed UPC. You've got the polygram and New Casablanca logo down here. Also, it has a number 0501, so that's a printing plant number. Alright. On the label, so if you look off to the left, you'll see the number 53 right before the polygram address on that text. And then if you look off to the right, you'll see a polygram catalog number with the Casablanca in parentheses below it. So there are combinations you can find where it has that printed UPC jacket and just a Casablanca catalog number. And I want to say, like, if you look at the top there, it says Kiss and then Love Gun. I want to say on the other one it says Love Gun and then Kiss, if I remember right. So stupid inner sleeve. next variation of Love Gun. Everything is the same on the jacket. Pretty sure. Yep. But I have a different label. So this label, if you look off to the left, it gives a number 53 right there before the polygram address. But if you look underneath where it says stereo and side 1 on the left, you'll see a number 76. And then if you go to the right hand side, it gives you a polygram catalog number. So there's that. And then on all of these polygram reissues of Love Gun, you know, some people will say, well, hey, this track listing's out of order. You know, I've got a rare misprint. Every polygram reissue lists the tracks out of order on the label. So, yeah, this one, side 2, according to the label. Oh, wait. Yeah. So, Got Love for Sale is the second to last song according to the label on this one. And then on side 1, it goes, I Stole Your Love, Christine 16, and Plaster Caster. It does not play in that order on the record. Also, another thing about all these polygram reissues of Love Gun, Ace's last name is misspelled on every one of them. Freeley. So. Then we get to Alive 2. And before we start that, and neither one of my copies of Love Gun have a mastering date. Alright. Getting to Alive 2, we got a couple of variations of this one. So, it's the front cover we all know and love. On the back, first thing I'm going to point out is this does not have a printing plant number on it. They've got a polygram logo down here. This text below the track list is yellow. I'm going to point that out. Alright. That UPC says 422-822-781, and then it has NBLP 7076 in parentheses underneath it. The gatefold, all of the coin information is blacked out. And then the vinyl. And right there before the polygram address, it gives you a number 53. And then it gives you the Casablanca catalog number, so NBLP 7076. This particular copy gives a date of October of 1984. this one, it's kind of in that recycled cardboard jacket. You know, you can kind of see that that's a nasty brown color. Alright, my next copy of Alive 2. Again, same cover we all know and love. Got a polygram logo down here. Underneath Paul, there is a really small 0501. Okay. The text below the track list is now white. And then that UPC says 422-822-781, and it does not give a polygram or a Casablanca catalog number. So there's a variation there. The gatefold has all the coin stuff blacked out still. Then we have a different label from the one I showed previously. So it says off to the left underneath side A and stereo 33 1/3 RPM, it gives a number 70. And then if you go over to the right, it gives you the polygram catalog number at 822781. And this one gives a, I know it says it, mastered by True Tone, April of 1986. So now we go on to double platinum. So we no longer have a shiny cover for double platinum. It's just this flat cover. Looks a lot like probably most of y'all's first CD of double platinum that you picked up. Track list is printed on the back. UPC is printed on the back. We have a polygram logo down below. No printing plant that I can see. And then the vinyl has a Filmworks label with no silver on it. And then off to the left, before the polygram address, you'll see a number 53. So there's your pressing plant number. And this gives a True Tone, Pennsylvania, April of 1984. And I want to say I've compared my Filmworks 2 copy with the shiny jacket and the UPC sticker and this, and everything was the same as far as like the True Tone stuff. So now, before we get on to the solo albums, I want to see if I can't do this without having to drop it in later. I've figured out a new feature of my photo program. There we go. Soon as the picture loads up. There we go. Alright, we're back. Well, I was kind of hoping that would work, but I guess it's not going to work. So I'll have to drop it in. So I have a record store divider for the back catalog right around the time this reissue series was going on, which I'll put up here. One thing you'll notice, since I've got it put up, I've got it over here that I'll look at. It has Crazy Nights and Exposed prominently featured at the top, so I'm going to guess that that's what they were promoting at the time. And then it has a catalog below it. Oddly enough, Killers is part of that catalog, even though at that time there was no US copy of Killers. But the one thing you'll notice that you don't see there is the solo albums. So by at least that point, the solo albums haven't been released yet, in my opinion. That's how I take it. So you're looking at September of 1987 when they was promoting that stuff new. So that gives you a little bit of a timeline, not necessarily of when something was released, but when something didn't exist. So speaking of the solo albums, now we're getting into them. So we have Gene's solo album, and the one thing that strikes me right off the bat is how washed out that cover looks. I mean, some of that red is almost pink. On the back, we have the printed UPC. We have the polygram information down here. A lot of people have a copy that has a white 0501 right here. Mine doesn't. It does, but it doesn't. You can see where it was kind of laid out to be there, but you know, something happened with the printing and it didn't quite land there. I haven't got another copy that has the 0501 on there. I just haven't got around to getting one yet. Just a funny little anecdote here. When you look at the executive producer, yeah, or executive engineer, I'm sorry, yeah. It wasn't me. I wasn't even on Earth in 1978. I was still swimming around with a tail. So I guess I don't know how long of a lifespan those things have. Some of these will come with a Sound Saver sticker, and I mean that for the entire Filmworks 3 series, not just the solo albums. This just happens to be one that I have. Alright. There's your Filmworks label with a polygram address. If you look off to the left, you'll see a number 53. You'll also see a Casablanca catalog number. I've not seen a copy of Gene Simmons with a polygram catalog number on it. And then mastered by True Tone. Looks like March of 1986. So it was mastered in March of 1986, but according to that divider, by September of 1987, it did not show up as a part of the catalog. And, you know, one could reason that since they were solo albums, maybe they weren't part of the Kiss catalog. I've seen several ads that list the solo albums with their respective catalog numbers along with the rest of the catalog. So I believe it was just out of print for a minute. Alright. Next up we have Ace. So again, that color's kind of washed out. Got a printed UPC. Got a we don't have a polygram logo on the back. Down here in the lower right hand corner, there's a small 0501 underneath the Rocksteady logo. Alright. Then the vinyl has that polygram Filmworks label with the polygram address. Off to the left, you'll see a number 53 before the address. And then if you go to the right, you have a polygram catalog number. And let's see here. It does not give a mastering date. So as you can tell so far, there was really no rhyme or reason that, you know, every Filmworks 3 was the same. The only thing that is the same is the fact that they all have printed UPCs. Alright. I gotta pause for the cause. I shall return. Alright. Couldn't get around it. Sorry about that, but just a blip for you. So now we are on Peter Criss, and I've got a couple of variations for his solo album. So kind of like Ace's, Peter does not have a polygram logo anywhere on his jacket. He does have that printed UPC, and then he has that small 0501 right here below the Rocksteady logo. And then I also have one of those Sound Saver stickers with this one. So the vinyl, so it's got that polygram Filmworks label with the polygram address at the bottom. If you go over to the left hand side, underneath where it says stereo and side A, you'll see a number 49. So there's your pressing plant number. If you go over to the right hand side, you can see it has a polygram catalog number. And then I want you to look at that address down below, all the way over to the right, where it says 810 7th Avenue, New York, NY 10019. So that New York NY is a variation. So actually had I had grabbed one of these two variations up before I went to Nashville a couple of years ago for Creatures Fest, and I was gonna sell one of them to my buddy because I didn't realize it was a variation at the time, and he eventually decided not to buy it. And then when I got home, I kind of looked it over again to make sure I kind of had the best of each, you know, the best jacket and the best record, and I realized that the record was a variation. So this one is exactly the same as I showed, UPC, small 0501. The record label looks almost the same. So it has the same pressing plant number underneath stereo and side A. It also has the polygram catalog number. But now when you look below, 810 7th Avenue, NY 10019. So the way that they word or abbreviate New York is different. I actually was putting it inside the inner sleeve. Let's try that again. With these plastic inner sleeves like that, I've found it easier to pull the sleeve out a little bit and then slide it in along with your record. For some reason it goes in a lot easier. Alright. Now we go on to Paul's solo album. And did Peters give a true tone date? No, it did not. Alright, so Paul, he looks a little washed out too. Got a UPC sticker, polygram logo down here, and then the small white 0501 below the polygram logo. And then it has that big white line going all the way across, which somebody asked me about a couple episodes back. And yeah, Gene has it and Paul has it. Ace and Peter do not. Yeah, surprisingly, you know, Gene and Paul's jackets match. Ace and Peter's jackets match. Alright, the vinyl. Another Sound Saver sticker. So that one, if you go over to the left, it's got a number 53 before the polygram address. Then it gives that Casablanca catalog number, NBLP 7123. I've not seen a copy of Paul that has the polygram catalog number. Now we go to Dynasty, and I have a couple of variations of Dynasty. So, got the old Dynasty cover. It's on that recycled looking cardboard, that paste over design. Got a printed UPC. We've got a polygram logo down below that, here above the Rocksteady logo. And then the vinyl. Over to the far left, you see a number 53 before the polygram text. Then if you go over to the right, it gives you a polygram catalog number, 812770. And then it's got the Casablanca catalog number below that. And let's see here. Mastered by True Tone. Looks like April of 1986. Which I don't know why I keep looking at the record for that stuff, because I have it all right there on my little tag. Alright, and we got another variation of Dynasty. Jacket is the same. Same UPC, same polygram logo, same recycled cardboard crap in the inside. But the label, so you got the polygram address down below. And if you look over to the left where it says side 1 and stereo, you see a number 72. So there's your pressing plant number. And then all the way over to the right, you got the polygram catalog number. So there's a variation for Dynasty. Alright. Next up, we have Unmasked. Yeah, this cover looks a little washed out. It's on the normal jacket material. It's not a paste over like some of the others. So we've got a printed UPC in the back. I've only ever seen it red. I've never seen another color for Unmasked, so far there ain't a variation there. Got the Polygram Records logo down in the lower right hand corner with an 0501 underneath that. And then the vinyl has a polygram address down below, and if you look to the left, you'll see a number 53. And then if you look over to the right, you'll see the Casablanca catalog number, NBLP 7225. And then below it in parentheses, you'll see the polygram catalog number, that 826242. Alright. And then mastered by True Tone. It's like May of 1986. Right. So these are all kind of staying within that 85, 86 range. But I don't believe that too many of these polygram reissues were pressed up. Because, I mean, the stuff just wasn't selling, so. This was the dawn of the CD age when all of this was happening. Alright, and then we got the Elder. Oh, yeah, no we don't. So the Elder never got a reissue with the printed UPC in the 80s. It didn't get a reissue in the US at all until 2014. It got a reissue on CD in the 80s, so there is a polygram catalog number for the Elder. It got a reissue on cassette in the 80s, but not on vinyl. So from there, we go to Creatures of the Night. And Creatures of the Night has a Mercury label. It's not part of the Filmworks 3 series. Well, ish. So we have the non-makeup cover. Somebody's ass on the back. I don't care whose. And if you look real close, you can see a black 0501 above that polygram logo in the lower right corner. We have a custom printed inner sleeve with lyrics. And we have a Filmworks label. And if you look off to the left, you'll see a number 53 before that polygram text at the bottom. And then if you go over to the right, you'll see a polygram catalog number at 442 or 422-824-154. So Creatures of the Night does exist as a Filmworks 3. This does not give a True Tone date because it was not mastered by True Tone, apparently. But this is definitely the rarest of the Filmworks 3 to find by a country mile. There's not very many of them that made it out like that. So if you find one of them, that's a pretty good variation to have. So, well, that does the Filmworks 3 series. No 45s, so I made it through the entire makeup era. So I thank you all for hanging in there with me, and I will catch you next time.